Today, a tsunami warning caused evacuations along the southern Oregon coast after a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck off the northern coast of California. That warning, the tsunami warning, was canceled shortly after it was made, but there was a tense 45 minutes or so, especially as people got their warnings on their phones and other devices. In the end, there was no tsunami and big waves did not reach the shore, but experts say a 7.0 earthquake is just about the break point for a tsunami threat, and emergency officials didn't want to take any chances. We talked with Diego Melgar, director of the Cascadia Region Earthquake Center at the University of Oregon, about just how fast a decision needs to be made at the Tsunami Warning Center up in Alaska.
An alarm goes off that says something is happening, and they have to look at the seismic data that's coming in, and inside of 2 to 3 minutes, which is not a lot of time, all they know is a dot on the map of where the earthquake is. They know the rough magnitude, which was about 7.3 very early on. And they know it's really close to the coast, and they have to make a split-second decision to push a button to send an alert or not send an alert. And that's a really difficult place to be in because you know the tsunami takes about 10-15 minutes to get to shore, so you really can't waste any time. If you pay attention to what goes on in the world with big tsunamis, it's terrifying. And so I would rather know. And so I'm glad that somebody is awake at the wheel, willing to press that button that says, big earthquake, please evacuate our beaches. I think they made the right call.
Any tsunami warning brings to mind the threat of the big one, a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake that could severely impact the Oregon coast. The 2011 tsunami that devastated Japan is one example that researchers used to prepare for the big one. We even saw waves from that Japan tsunami reach Oregon in 2011. So is today's tsunami a warning sign or a bigger threat of something to come?
These smaller events, I know it feels big to people, magnitude 7. It's smaller than the big one we're expecting in the Pacific Northwest. These small events most frequently do not foretell that the bigger one is coming. There's always a small chance that this small one is what we call a foreshock. There's always a small chance of that. But throughout history, most frequently, these magnitude 7s are not followed by a bigger event.
Which is encouraging to hear, of course. Emergency officials say today's scare is a great reminder to make sure you have a plan for where and how you'd get to safety in a tsunami, have a kit ready to go, and subscribe to emergency alerts. And when it comes to monitoring the earthquakes in our region, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has spent the last decade expanding their array of seismometers. Back in 2014, the USGS had 240 seismometers, and they set a goal of 600 seismometers needed to properly cover the Northwest. Now, the USGS has about 700.
The shaking from that epicenter is going to hit a station sooner if there's more stations. If we only have a handful of stations, that seismic wave may have to travel dozens of miles before it's detected, which eliminates several seconds of potential extra warning.
3 stations are needed to triangulate which direction the shaking is coming from. The closer they are together, the more accurate the reading. But there is one problem with our seismic network that today's scare certainly highlights. All of those nearly 700 seismometers are on land. Scientists are working to add underwater stations off of Oregon's coast, but not until 2026. They'll be plugged in using underwater cables to further improve early warnings to communities along the coast.